All right, you think it's expensive to live in the Bay Area? We're going to tell you the real story. This is the real story with Adam and Sherry. I'm Adam Hamalian,
And I'm Sherry Hutchens.
and we're two broker associates with 40 years of experience talking about all things real estate. Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Adam.
I'm excited about today. We're going to do something a little different, but before we get to that, should we talk about our current market?
Yeah, what's going on with our current market?
Well, last time we talked, there was an unusual influx of properties hitting the market early,
Yeah.
and that kind of slowed down this week. I was at the Rossmore marketing meeting, and they had two properties on tour today. I kept turning the sheet over, expecting to see more properties on the backside, and there wasn't anything there. Actually, I take it back. There were three, but one of them was a relist from the fall, so I wasn't counting that. But
I'm surprised
you.
because they've been coming on the MLS on a regular basis. I wonder if they're just not listing them for tour.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, so we usually average about 100 in Rossmore, and there's only about 60 currently. So it'll warm up. People will get out of their doldrums and move on to getting things on the market.
Yeah.
So today we are really excited. We have a special guest with us, Kristen Pepin, who is part of Dudum Real Estate, but also a Nevada brokerage. She kind of wears two hats. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, how are you?
We're good. Kristen is a special guest because she is the loan agent at Dudum's Tahoe office, Sierra office, I guess is what we call it. And so we're excited to learn a little bit about vacation homes. And my teaser was you thought it was expensive down in the Bay Area. What do you talk about what it's like to buy up in Tahoe and all the extra expenses? We might get into some fire insurance stuff as we talk, but Kristen, we were excited to have you as our guest and was wondering maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So I got into real estate. I was a COVID baby. I got in July of 2020. I've worn a lot of hats previous to that. I owned a spa. I own a little deli cafe with my husband. I've been in Tahoe for 20 years. Just like everybody else, I came for a winter, stayed for a summer, and never left. So that's how I am. I live in Tahoe Vista in the center of the North Shore. And, I've always gone around to beautiful homes and loved architecture and just loved real estate. My brother's been a realtor down in San Diego for over 25, 30 years. My cousin's a realtor in the Nevada side. My dad did it as a retirement job. It's just kind of, I guess, in my blood a little bit. And you really have to have an entrepreneurial spirit to be living in Tahoe. There aren't a whole lot of 9 to 5 jobs or things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I love real estate. I got into it, like I said, in COVID. At that point in time, it was all transactional. It was turn and burn and let's go. Since that time, I've really learned how difficult real estate can actually be. It's way more than put a sign in the ground and someone's going to write you an offer and you go. You have to be the marketer, you have to be the janitor, you have to wear everything. There's so many facets to it, which I'm learning. So for any new realtor out there, like jump in and be prepared, but it is the hands down the most difficult job I've ever had.
Well, that's honesty for you. That is the real story. It's interesting because so one of the reasons why we wanted to chat with you was because we assume that most of your business or a portion of your business are second homes. But I understand it's kind of a live conversation for locals versus the holiday vacationers and Airbnb. How would you describe kind of the market that your transactions, like how does that balance between locals and second homes?
We have seen so they put Lake Tahoe is 5 different counties around the lake and 4 different MLS systems. And in the last couple of years, they've obviously hunkered down on a lot of short-term rentals. So there is a big battle between development, short-term rentals. Placer County has come up with a grant program that is helping land locals. And there's a lot of other programs coming up. So I would say previously, majority of my business, the last up till maybe last year, was all kind of second homeowners, vacationers, investors. And the last couple of years, because the market kind of, I wouldn't want to say crash, but it corrected
Yeah.
enough. And there's been enough grant programs that I'm really happy to say we've been getting a lot more long-term locals placed in houses.
Oh, that's
Last
great.
year, one of my deals, I actually sold locals to locals, and now they're going to be full-time residents. I'm working with another company, a couple right now who are locals. So the pricing and then with the grant availability, it is starting to become a little bit more obtainable, and we are getting more locals staying in the area, which is awesome.
That is nice. Yeah. I mean, I'd heard some of those conversations. I was briefly talking with somebody about a South Bay potential second home, and there was, I don't remember the details, but I remember the conversation with the agent we were discussing with down there. It was all about the people that work the service and retail jobs. There's just no affordability for them to live, even rent, because it's more profitable to do the short-term rental. So you said something really interesting. 5 counties and 4 MLSs. So for those of you watching, Sherry and I, um, we're in Contra County in the East Bay, and we do some in Alameda County. I think we had one listing in Solano County, a purchase in Sonoma, but 95% of our business is Contra Costa, and that's one MLS. And even our MLS links to all these other counties. So I can't imagine. So somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I'm looking for something in Tahoe." I mean, Tahoe's the largest lake in the western half of the United States, and like you just said, how do you start that conversation with somebody who says, "Hey, I want to buy a vacation home"?
It's difficult. You really have to kind of ask the questions and find out what are they looking to do. Are they even familiar with Tahoe? Are they familiar with the North Shore? Are they looking the South Shore? Are they looking for the tax advantages of being on the Nevada side? Do they want to be near the ski resorts? A handful of other things kind of come into play with that, but it is difficult to narrow down when you have somebody. You also really have to kind of look at price points. If someone is in a lower price point, so North Lake to South Lake, on average, South Lake homes are about $250,000 less than homes that you'll find on the North Shore. And then the North Shore, California side is about 250,000 less than what you'll find on the Incline Village side. So price point pays a lot into it, whether or not they're willing to be in a condo or a townhome, an HOA. There's a lot of factors that do go into it. If they are looking specifically for a short-term rental, right now, Placer County is the only county that still has short-term rental permits available, without stipulations. If you live in Truckee, which is Nevada County, you're going to have to own for 1 full year before you're even eligible to go on the wait list. El Dorado County is not accepting any. South Lake has been changing all of their short-term rental things. Measure L, I think it is, just got overturned. So that's changed. On the Nevada side, there isn't necessarily a set on short-term rentals, but it is more based on the HOA that you're in. So a single family home, you won't run into an issue. It's kind of like Placer County. But then if you are in an HOA, it's more of their stipulations. Short-term is considered anything less than 30 days, and long-term is anything more than 30 days.
Interesting.
Hmm.
The other kind of big topic that is affecting values down here, and so you living in a national forest or depending on where you are, is the fire insurance, and how has that come into play for your market?
Hugely. It's, I tell a lot of people, so at least on the California side, we have the fair plan, or like what I like to call it, the not so fair plan. Um, Nevada doesn't have that yet. So on the Nevada side, they're trying to work through all of the things that California has kind of had into play. There are a couple of small pockets in California on the California side that you may be able to get insurance that is not in the fair plan, but for the most part, you're almost guaranteed the fair plan. It's just a matter of whether or not you can afford it. So it
Yeah.
is something that we're always looking at to make sure you can get it. And then it's like there's certain homes and other things. We have a lot of people that pay cash and just decide not to be insured. So
Yikes. How is that different for a single family home than say a townhouse? Like is are HOAs managing some of that decision making?
most of your HOAs, we've run into a little bit with this. Most of the HOAs are covering fire insurance. But your HOAs are also, our HOAs have been really far behind as far as keeping the reserves met and anything like that. So we're seeing every single year an increase in the HOA dues. So our HOAs have gone up substantially. There's a lot of special assessments going on to build the reserves to make up for the fire insurance. So most of your fire insurance is covered. You do need an HO6 policy, which is the interior from the
Yeah.
studs in. There were a couple of condo associations that were keeping the cost down, but not covering fire. And then anyone with lending was unable to get a policy. So we've been working out the kinks like everybody else. I mean, everyone is kind of running through every single day. You see at least a dozen posts on Facebook or Nextdoor. My insurance just got canceled. Who's everybody using? How are we doing this? How are we doing that? There's a couple of really good insurance agents around here that I recommend that are trying to find ways around it. But yeah, I mean it's difficult. I mean, the one thing that's good that we've had set in place is we have majority of our neighborhoods now are firewise. So we've worked towards being firewise, and being a firewise community will save you 10% on your California Fair Plan. So we're trying to work every little angle that we can around it, but insurance is always a big deal.
The I'm kind of curious. So I assume that the California side has the same requirements we have down here in the Bay Area about doing the Cal Fire inspection. I forget what it's called, but how do you, if you're in a forest, how do you manage like trees hanging over your property? I mean, I had a friend who they were literally raking up pine needles all from around their property and hauling them away. Um, but if you're, what are some of the requirements that people are having to meet to pass that CAL FIRE inspection?
So it's a good question. You are only responsible for your property. For the most part, they don't want any form of combustibles within 5 feet of the house. You have to limb all your tree branches to upwards of 30 feet. You can't have anything overhanging on the roof. You can't have pine needles around the ground. They don't want any wood to earth contact around the house. So it's all little things like that that you need to do. If there's any dead trees, every single year, North Tahoe Fire or another fire association comes out anyway and does a defensible space inspection on your property. And then you are given a list of all of the things that you need to do. The Firewise communities now are working within, I'm the lead in my community, and going out and saying, okay, years 1 to 3, this is what we're going to work on the neighborhood. But a lot outside of the property, which makes it a little tricky, is we have a lot of conservancy lots. We do have national forest lands, and the fire department or the conservancy are responsible for those. So sometimes we're working as a neighborhood to work with the conservancy to let us go in and clean up their lots because they don't have enough staffing. And I would say that the fire departments have done an amazing job. That's why we have a lot of prescribed burns of going in and cleaning up the forests, getting rid of all of the ground cover, just trying to make it as safe as possible.
I, it is an amazing process. Just, I can only imagine managing all of that. So it sounds like in addition to the cost of the home, there all of these other little things, the cost of owning needs to be taken into serious consideration because even you get the purchase price, but it sounds like we haven't even talked about snow plowing and stuff like that. Or I'm just curious, what percentage of people are on propane? It's all propane. Anybody on natural gas, or is it every?
We have a fair amount on natural gas. Propane is little pockets in neighborhoods. Some of your older communities, there are a handful at your ski resorts. There are a handful around Truckee. Some of the older communities, most are on natural gas at this point.
All right. Okay. Any other kinds of ongoing home ownership expenses that I haven't asked about?
Oh man. I mean, it's funny, pine needles, you mentioned that. I'm originally from the East Coast and I was like, oh, I miss raking leaves because it was once a year. I feel like pine needles I do 10 times a year. You're
Yeah.
always doing it and always picking up. Um, yes, snow removal is a big deal. Making sure that you're up on that. A lot of people can afford to just have snow removal done for them, but you have to take into consideration, even if you're doing snow removal, the snow plows are only going to come every 6 inches or more. So if you get a 3 to 4 inch storm, you might have to shovel out yourself.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, depending on where you are, there's multiple waters. I mean, I just helped some buyers buy locally, and I sent him the list of utilities that he had to change over. And he just wrote back. He was like, "Are you serious? This is going to take me an entire day." I mean, you have a list of probably at least 8 utilities you need to switch over into your name and stay on top of. So there's a lot to consider, and there's a lot to consider in winter buying a home. If it's north facing or south facing, if you're up on a hill, if you're down in a hole, where you are in regards to a school or a major road, there's a lot that comes into it. Snow shovels. I mean, who would have thought that picking the right snow shovel would make a difference in your life?
we,
Shovel your bear box.
yeah. Oh yeah, let's talk about bears. Um, we yeah, so we coexist with the natural habitat. They were there first. We're invading their space. We were talking before we got online about Tahoe Donner, and my parents have since sold the place that my dad built, but we were renting a place, and I was my family and my wife's sister's family. We were renting this cabin, and on the back deck barbecuing, and this black bear comes wandering past the deck, and I quickly but very casually slip and slide the door with my fork or spatula and close the sliding glass door, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "There's a bear out there helping himself to our barbecue." It was in the middle of the day. It was anyway. So bears, yeah. What
Yeah.
Especially when vacant houses, it seems like I hear stories of bears breaking in and helping themselves. I mean, almost like a total Goldilocks, just check out the cabin. Is that how prevalent is that?
Very, very prevalent. When I moved here, I mean, so bears only reproduce based on the amount of food that's available. When I moved to Tahoe 20 years ago, you would see a mom with a single cub. To see two cubs was really rare. Now, with the amount of people, the amount of availability of food sources, of people, to see 2 and 3 cubs is not uncommon anymore.
Wow.
One thing we really noticed over the last year is bears any time of day would walk down the street and they just flick the doorknobs of every single car. And if the car is unlocked, they would just go peek in and check it out. If you had something in there, they'd climb in and help themselves. If you didn't, then they just sniff and then back out and go to the next one. Recently this year, bears are walking right up the driveways, past the cars, and going straight to the houses. So they're becoming a little more brazen. My neighbor's house was broken into this year. My house was broken into this year. And let me tell you, when they break in, they're relentless. They are going to just keep coming back. So it's so important. And I feel the Bears know what trash day is. So they go around the neighborhoods based on when trash day is. They go check out all the dumpsters. If a bear ever gets into your home, however it got in is the only way it's leaving. So that's something people don't understand. They think it came in through the front door and it's near the slider. I'm going to open the slider and then stand between the front door. That's how you get run over by a bear. Uh,
Yikes.
don't try to get it out. It's when it's around its young or it's around food is when it's going to be the most aggressive. And then anytime it does get food, it's going to come back. I had a bear this summer in my house and it broke in at 6 o'clock at night. My dogs chased it out. They went up in the tree. They came back at 5 a.m., tried to get in again. They came back at noon. They came back at 4:30. They came back at 2 a.m. They just keep trying. And so once they get in, they come back and you just never know. So we bears are very prevalent. There are a lot of companies, there's a couple of companies that do bear wires on your houses and they do bear mats. So it's a low volt electrical. And I'll tell you a little cheat that if you're in an emergency right now, find out what color they're using in your neighborhood, get bungee cords and put them across the doors and the windows. Bears have now seen it. So until you can get wired.
Hmm.
Right now, the bear activity in the fall is so busy that the bear companies can't get ahead of it. So it's something that you have to kind of think about prior to. When it's a rental house, it's probably a little bit more prevalent with bears breaking in than it is a full-time residence. But like I said, I mean, they broke into my house. So
Do you stock bear spray at your house?
I have it. I've never used it.
Okay. Yeah. My brother-in-law was a fisherman in Alaska, and I got to go fish with him once. And uh, he 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 jokingly said, "You should go on a hike on that path because that's where all the bears were." And then I started to go on this hike, and he goes, "No, don't go. What are you doing?" And then he handed me a can of bear spray, and I'm like, "I'm not walking with the bear spray. If this is what I have to have, I will just stay on your boat. I don't need to walk on this island." So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, well, that's just fascinating. I mean, I think the worst predator I have in my neighborhood is the flock of wild turkeys. Actually, there's a coyote roaming around our neighborhood, but um, the bear
I,
is much more destructive.
I can't wait till we have an inspection and there's a big rodent problem and I'll say, you think you've got a problem? Why don't you move up to Tahoe and deal with the bears? Because it makes the rodent problem we've got down here, which is pretty prevalent, seem so minor by comparison.
Yeah, but tied to food supply.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of it as no matter where you live, you have to deal with a natural disaster. So, I mean, in Tahoe, it's just a fact of living with bears, and you do have to be educated on them, and you have to be smart when you're around them. Um, and that's really a big thing. I mean, they're not scary. I run into them all the time. They're beautiful to see go walk by. It's really cute to see cubs playing on swing sets or swinging in your hammock or going
Mhm.
in the lake. I mean, they're not aggressive bears
Yeah.
unless you get between the mom and the cubs or you're going after their food source.
Yeah. Yeah, I meant I had the question pop up I forgot to ask earlier on the going back to the rentals. Do like ski rentals, for the whole does that ski season, does that count as a short-term rental, or is there more permission around doing, a 6-month lease out of your property?
A ski lease is considered a long-term lease.
Okay.
Someone is renting it from anywhere between November and January until anywhere between March and May.
Yeah. So that there's more permission to do that. And because you're eliminating the coming and going and the kind of traffic, I suppose.
Yeah, well, ski leases are also, some people are full time in the ski leases, and then other people are what we consider weekend warriors or
Hmm.
in like holiday weeks. So they live down in the bay, but then they come up and they'll come up for the weekends or they'll come up during a holiday week and they'll spend the week in the house, but it gives them access to that house for the entire season.
Yeah. So we've talked around a lot of different aspects of coming up to Tahoe and shopping. Actually, before I ask the next question, fractional properties. So single family home, I think people get their head around that. Condos or townhouses, I think people understand you get the space, part of a larger complex. What's a fractional ownership? What does that look like?
So we have a lot of different fractional as well as shared ownership. So fractional ownership is a couple of different ways. Tonopalo is a primary one located in Tahoe Vista, where they're all 1/7 share, but you buy in to a particular unit. They have 19 units. So you purchase the deed to one unit, and everything is turnkey and it's available for you. North Star also has it. The deeding is a little bit different. You still share the property, but you either get deeded a 3 bedroom or a 4 bedroom. So it's not necessarily a timeshare. It's definitely more fractional because you do have a deeded ownership to a property. Some you can rent out, some you can bring dogs, some you cannot. Some are overrun by a board and an HOA, others are independent. We have numerous fractional and shared ownerships. We have a couple like out in Old Greenwood where you literally just purchase 1 week out of the year, and then it gives you access to amenities and that kind of thing. Picasso is a newer one up here the last couple of years where you are now 1/7, 1/8 ownership in a complete house. And then once all those shares are sold, you own it with those other people in an LLC. So yeah, there's a lot of different varieties, and fractional is really normally goes around anywhere from 1 week to say 12 weeks a year based on how you're doing it. Which
Interesting.
company.
And so it sounds like those are easier to sell if you're gonna, unlike a timeshare where you've paid into some longer type arrangements and you don't own anything, but you've paid a contract. You could sell your fractional ownership. Is that
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and typically it's I imagine it's some sort of tenants in common type arrangements. Do the other owners get to just say who you sell it to? Is there a
For sometimes for the shared ownerships, you will. For a lot of the fractionals, they all like Tonopalo, each chapter has its own APN number.
okay?
So there's a governing board that deals with all of that. Fractional doesn't necessarily always have it doesn't give you a return on investment. You have to think of it more as an investment in lifestyle. So
Okay.
you're getting all of the amenities and all the things that go along with it. They are also non-financeable, so you have to pay cash
Mhm.
for all of the fractional and shared ownerships. Picasso, I think, does their own internal where you can maybe get some financing. But yeah, most of them are cash deals, so get in and out, and then you're really purchasing the lifestyle.
Um, sure. Do you have any questions?
I just have a comment more than anything. I'm so impressed with how much knowledge you have about all of the different properties, considering you've only really been in the business for a little over 5 years. It's a lot to learn and to know.
Yeah, there's a lot to know about properties in Tahoe. I mean, there's one thing I can say, there's sometimes a lot of agents that they're like, "Hey, I've come up and I spend weekends in Tahoe, so I know Tahoe." I mean, even it goes down to when you're purchasing a house. I mean, we have a whole set of our own forms that have to be included, and there's a lot more that goes into it and knowing about it. Do you have private transfer fees? What are they for? Do you have this? Who pays for that? What's negotiable? It's a lot more complex than people really think. I mean, but it's a gorgeous area and everybody wants to sell Tahoe.
Yeah. So, so we talked about the market. Is there anything that we missed out that you wish buyers coming up to Tahoe would know before they came up? And then I'm going to have a follow-up question because you just were talking about other agents. What do you wish other agents knew? But let's start with the buyers first. What do you wish buyers knew before they started searching?
Um, have a general idea of just kind of what they're looking for and what is being open to understanding that what you want and what you can afford doesn't always play into it. There is a big difference. I mean, people want garages and they want all this space. Well, you have to pay for that. There's the closer to the lake or the specific neighborhood. So it really is. I mean, I'm very open to helping buyers, but they have to start to narrow down a little bit. When someone just says, "Hey, I have this budget and I want to buy at Lake Tahoe," you need to have a little bit more understanding. Buyers need to come up. They need to drive around. They need to experience the different neighborhoods. They need to do a little bit of narrowing down on their own. And then one thing I always recommend for buyers is if you are considering purchasing a home in Tahoe, and you're not in a rush, when you come up for a weekend or to go skiing, go drive all the different neighborhoods. West Shore gets a ton more snow than the rest of it. Go drive around and see what the snowpack looks like on that house. See where it's melting, see where it's moving. I mean, there's so many little nuances that buyers, I just always recommend drive around, get a feel for it, know what you like, and kind of a little bit more of where you want to be.
Yeah. So, Sherry and I believe that you should work in markets that you know. So we absolutely believe that agents should refer their clients to you. What do you wish agents knew before they referred clients to you? Like what is, I mean, some of the same stuff I imagine that you just told buyers. But what do you wish us city folk knew before we send somebody your way?
I wish agents would consider referring more than looking at the dollar sign. And really just saying, I can do this. I know it. I'm more than happy to help anyone, but at the same time, it gets to be a lot when everyone wants me to be their consultant or their boots on the ground,
Yeah, yeah.
and just utilize me for my knowledge. I mean, that, as you know, time is important to all of us. So to kind of, let's as agents maybe not waste each other's time on some things. Let's execute the way that we believe we should. I'm more than happy to help anyone. I'm more than happy to kind of come through it and help you out with it. But it does work a little differently down here. You're not going to get all of the listing agents really quickly to go open up every door for you and to go do all of that. So to have access to the e-keys, to have access to the MLS, to have access to a lot of that, I mean, it goes into it. I mean, I wouldn't try to come down to the Bay Area and think that I can sell down there. It's kind of the same thing. You guys are well versed in what you do, and I'd rather collaborate with you, and help out with either co-list or co-assist or do something and give referral fees, because I think that overall it's better for the client themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We agree 100%.
So you've covered a lot of stuff. We talked about the California market, a little bit of the Nevada side, but I'm kind of curious, just from an agent licensing standpoint, what is it like different working in Nevada than California? Not so much the market, but from an agent standpoint, what are the rules like? Anything that you find interesting?
Nevada is like the Wild West. It's a lot easier. So I will say the title companies on the Nevada side, coming down to paperwork, as you know, I don't know. I feel like on the California side, what we have thousands of pages of paperwork that we are going through, and we're doing the same form over and over and over again on a lot of it. The Nevada side is so much easier, and the title company takes care of a lot of it for you. So you really spend a little bit more quality time with the clients. So Nevada is a little bit easier. There are different rules and different things you have to abide by, but in an overall paperwork standpoint, Nevada's a lot easier.
Interesting. I had an experience where I helped my brother in Georgia, and we were using an agent there. First of all, lawyers do the escrow there, but the disclosure was one page disclosure, and that was it. And I'm trying to remember what it was. Sherry, do you remember what it was? It was like,
It was lead-based paint.
yeah, lead-based paint. That was the only disclosure. There wasn't anything else. There was no agency disclosure. There was no SPQ, TDS, none of that. I think that California operates in its own universe.
Yes. I mean, on the Nevada side, I remember I had my first trust, and I was like, what do you mean? We don't need a RCSD. We don't need a trust advisory. We don't need this. Like, you write their name, and then title deals with the trust side of things. So there's a lot less when you have to deal with that on the Nevada side.
The
All
attorneys
right.
complicate everything
Yeah.
on our
Last
end for you.
last thoughts for everybody. Chris,
I have a last thought. I have
yeah.
a last regret. In 1999, I had an opportunity to buy a 3-bedroom, 1-bath cabin at the top of Pine, which it starts down at Sunnyside
Yep.
for $99,000 and I didn't do it.
And
Oh,
you
I wish
know,
I had done it.
what I will say is really quick about the Tahoe market. The Tahoe market is very cyclical. So in springtime, a lot of people are coming off of ski leases. We're going to be very busy, more inventory, higher prices coming into May to July. Then we're going to average out a little bit over the summer. We'll see prices start to dip around the fall. We'll see an influx of properties around the holidays. And then we'll see a lot of inventory come off market for ski leases or just because it's difficult in the winter.
Yeah,
No matter what, it is always a good time to buy in Lake Tahoe.
yeah,
Now, regardless of where the interest rates are, if there is a house, one thing I say to buyers all the time, if there's a house you really love, don't wait. I mean, for some reason, I don't know if it's like this in your area. I feel like all the buyers wait and like they wait and wait and wait, and then everybody comes in on the same house and you're in a multiple offer. And it's
yeah,
like you could have gotten a better deal a month ago. I don't know what all the buyers are waiting for all the time. But
Yeah.
regardless, Tahoe is still a really good place until the lake dries up or becomes a color that nobody likes. It's not going to stop being desirable. And
Yeah.
we have really good prices right now. Things are still selling a little below asking right now. We do have listers and we have sellers, so there's a little bit of differentiating between them. But Tahoe is an incredible place, and you're buying the lifestyle, you're buying into so much of it. So, regardless of where you are, get in on property now. It's going to appreciate. You can
yeah.
give it to your family, you can do whatever. If you can afford it, get in it. It's amazing.
All
That's
right.
here too. Great investment.
Yes.
We're going to put Kristen's contact info in the show notes. So if you want to reach out to her directly, or if you just want to reach out to Sherry and I, we will pass you on to her so you have her. You can get in contact with her. If you're not from California and you've never been to Tahoe, you need to put it on your bucket list. It is one of the most beautiful places in the world. There's like she said, the lake is blue, the mountains are gorgeous. In the winter, when the snow is glistening, is amazing. In the summer, when the sun is shining, it's amazing. There's no bad time in Tahoe.
No.
All right. All right. Thanks again for being on the show. Dorothy was right. There's no place like home. Bye now.
Thanks.